Jan, pronouns are he, him in Missouri. Do you have any advice on combating inherent prejudice? Welcome, Jan. What prejudice are we talking about?
Well, I work for one of the delivery services, the DoorDash, Postmates, those kind of things.
Sure.
And as such, my job depends heavily on tips. And there are certain circumstances when it's really predictable who will tip and who won't, or I should say who tends to tip and who doesn't. And sometimes it's, certain racial groups or national origin groups. And coming away from those kind of interactions, it's easy to fall into, oh, well, these people don't tip. And I've tried to adjust my thinking to something similar to tipping is not really a thing in that culture, which I think is at least a better way to look at it. But then I just feel really, because I don't like thinking like that. And I realize that's a prejudiced way of thinking. I realize that's a bigoted way of thinking. And I have stern words with myself. You shouldn't do that. Try to see it maybe from their point of view. And I just wanted to know, because everybody has prejudices, whether they admit it or not. You've said that before. I've heard you in your wisdom say such things. And I wondered maybe how you handled that sort of implicit prejudice in yourself, maybe some advice about how to combat that, how to, like I said, have lectures with yourself about how to stop looking at things that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I apologize. And it is Jan, right? Because it could be Jan, and I just realized that.
Yes. No, it's
okay.
Jan. You're right.
Sweet.
Oh, good.
I assume because you're in Missouri, but you could have been a transplant from Sweden or something. But first of all, the fact that you're asking the question already tells us a lot about you, because there's plenty of people who will never ask those sorts of questions. They'll just run around enjoying whatever prejudice they have. I think for me, I know I've done it. I know I'll probably continue to do it somehow, some way. But I try to make sure that I'm honest in my evaluation of people. So like, even when you say, oh, there's certain people who are going to tip and there's certain people who's not going to tip, and I know the reason why. I'm curious as to know whether or not you actually do know the reason why, because I'm generally a good tipper, but I will also not tip when there's actually been bad service and problems and stuff. And with the delivery services, I've had to change the way I think about that, because it may not be I may not be able to tell whose fault it is that something bad happened. And so I don't want a delivery person thinking that I stiffed them on a tip when it was, Uber Eats' machine that got my address wrong or, did something else. It's like the whole thing comes as a package, and yet there's one person that's more likely going to bear the brunt of it, because the companies aren't going to lose money on this. They still sold the food. They still got their delivery fees, et cetera. It's only going to be the driver. And so what I've taken to doing instead is, when there's a problem, I contact them. I used to be the kind of person that, I would never send food back just because I didn't want to be a hassle for anybody. Now I'll send food back. Absolutely. If this isn't what I ordered, this isn't what I wanted, as politely as possible, hey, this is it. Cause I get it. People are doing a job, and trying to remember that. But like I said, the fact that you're asking this question means you're probably already working on it. And you're probably already saying, you know what, maybe I don't know as much about the reasons behind why this happened. And the fact that it happened on its own isn't enough for me to reach a conclusion. So I'm just going to try and get my day going and set this aside until I have more information. Because what if I was that person, and the reason that they didn't tip was, maybe this is the last meal before their bank account gets shut down and they get evicted, because now we've got the eviction moratorium is potentially going away, if it hasn't gone away already. I tell you what I did. I stopped flipping people off when I'm driving. I talked about this on a previous episode. I flipped somebody off and they lost their mind and were chasing me down they were in a truck pulling a trailer, and it was terrifying. And Kristen was in the truck with me, and when it was all over and we talked about it and how scary it was, it doesn't matter that, you know, I was in the right on that. I'm just never going to flip anybody off again. I like wearing masks now because sometimes I'll just wear the mask in the truck and I can just cuss up and down a blue streak and they'll never know that I'm even talking to them.
Kind of sneering or something.
Yeah. I don't know that I have, apart from the fact, all I can ever do is recommend, okay, try to be cognizant of why you have whatever feeling or thought that you have. And it seems that you're working on doing that now. So I guess the advice is just saying, just keep going and try whenever possible. I mean, we don't always have time, but whenever possible, if you start getting really upset about something, imagine what their life is like and what could possibly happen to you to put you in a situation where you would respond similarly. And instead of assuming that someone is, you know, problematic or, you know, bigoted or anything else, that, you know, maybe something else is just going on.
That's good advice. I appreciate you taking my call. And by the way, I just heard that you and Arden were dating. Congratulations. She seems like an awesome lady.
Yeah, she absolutely is. And thank you very much. But thank you, Jen.
I try to catch the transatlantic show when I can. But have a good night.
Absolutely. Thanks. You and everybody else should catch the transatlantic show on Saturdays at 5 p.m. Central.